In the year 2007, a team of scientists have discovered the existence of many parallel universes. A probe from Earth is soon deployed by the US government to reach one of these worlds called Adelpha. Minutes after landing, an intelligent life form damages the probe. On Earth, an unforeseen backlash of energy is created by this action, and the result is a constantly growing black hole which threatens the very existence of our planet. Slade, a US Navy SEAL commander, is charged with the safety of the 3 scientists who have been chosen to travel to this new world. His assignment is to locate the probe and make sure the scientists complete their job in time. Now the destiny of our planet is in his hands.
Excuse me, but who are you?
Slade, the guy from Outcast.
What are you doing here?
Don't know yet.
What does that mean? Are you nuts?
Maybe. Ask him.
I can see only you.
Sorry. There. Go ahead. Ask him.
Excuse me, sir, but what is this Outcast?
Outcast is the first video game that really tries to be an interactive movie. Not only have we tried to play with movements, with shapes and animation at all levels of the game, but above all, we gave it intelligence.
It's enormous. 3 years of production. It's a huge budget with major goals. It's going to be a turning point in the video game industry.
One of Outcast's qualities is its visual originality, and that comes from its initial visual design as well as from the technological constraints.
Together with Frank and Eve, we wanted to give the game a richness and a depth, and that meant mixing lots of different technologies, a multidisciplinary approach.
And we wanted to go beyond the usual indoor scenery games, beyond games that only have walls. We wanted real landscapes.
The key word for the graphic designers was realism. At the beginning, the 5 worlds were built with 128 different tiles, so the important thing was to link them and match them up for 3D continuity.
All the technology developed for the game gives a lot of advantages for the on-screen display of fine details. We chose to go for high-quality, realistic details right from the start, so we tried to vary as many things as possible to avoid tedious repetitions.
The voxel technology appealed to us immediately because it would allow us to deal with almost infinite landscape complexity.
We wanted a quality of rendering that wasn't available with traditional technologies.
And once we put the environment and everything together, we were like, hey, that's Cutter, there he is, alive and kicking. That was the outstanding moment.
In the early stages, someone was in charge of sketching out the characters on paper.
I know that for Marion, for example, I had a lot of fun adding them up. I made almost 200 roughs. And it's true, in the end, I was so familiar with them all, I was saying to myself, he's my child.
It was really important for Outcast to have very diverse characters. We have over 65 different characters in the game, and what we've tried to do is make it so that each character interacts with the other characters as well as you.
Once the character research was over, the drawings were scanned. And once that was done, the modeling artist used them to create a 3D polygonal model.
In the beginning, I used splines to follow the artist's lines. Then I use a technique that allows me to build polygons following the splines. And finally, when the modeling and the skeleton are done, we can start working on texture mapping. And in fact, for some of Outcast's characters and objects, we also use bump mapping. I'll show you how it works on these t-shirts. Here is the traditional texture map, Then we have the bump. And here it is. And this technique allows us to add various information, creases on the clothes, wrinkles, muscles, and so on.
An important factor in the final result is animation. That's what gives this realistic aspect to the characters in the game. Now I'm dressing up for motion capture. I'm placing sensors on my body. The sensors are detected by the computer, which will translate my movements to on-screen animation. I'm really lending my muscles to Cutter.
Motion capture is an important part of Outcast. It represents a total of 20 hours. I don't mean capture time, but animation time in the game. And there are two other animation techniques in the game. One is the traditional keyframe animation, and the other one is a procedural animation, which allows real-time modifications of the keyframed and motion-captured animation. When you're in the virtual world of Outcast, you get to meet characters with real depth. Artificial intelligence allows a codification of reactions, of emotions according to given situations.
That's what brings interactivity to the game. We really tried to give a social dimension to the characters. And thanks to this interactivity, we were able to build the quests in the game according to the characters.
In order to fulfill your mission, you're going to have to meet people, to fight with them, you're going to have to be afraid, to laugh, you'll have to tell jokes. But in the end, you'll find the purpose of your quest. And in fact, a video game really is a virtual quest. And so as to give the player some references, we created a strong cinematographical scenario.
What was very important for the scenario was the meeting with Douglas Freeze. He really had the cinematographical background we needed.
I gotta go to a meeting now, so if that's okay, I gotta finish this. And the original idea of the game was a nonlinear game. We've always had that in mind. Otherwise, it was going to be just 5 worlds, and you went and did separate things. But we didn't have anything that linked it together, and now we do with the dramatic storyline that goes through the game. It was very helpful actually working with a team whose English is not their first language, because it really helped me to focus the language down. We want everybody to be able to understand. As soon as Cutter enters the world, you're not having to learn how to walk again or how to speak again. It's very comfortable.
Today, Cutter Slade is truly the most sophisticated success in the way of immersion in a completely free-flowing virtual world.
Yeah, I know. Big as a house, leaps tall mountains in a single bound, blah, blah, blah.
We would like Cutter to be everybody's dream.
I think that when he was young, he was sitting in the back of the classroom and hitting the ones in front.
Well, there are 6 main weapons in the game. Basically, they were all designed to be used in very different ways. Some of the gadgets we have are very fun. The invisibility is my favorite one.
When a bullet whizzes past, you can really hear the sound moving with it. That's called environmental audio. Inside this house, you hear the corresponding resonance. And now, if we go outside, the same sound has a different color. Frank creates the sound. I place them and eventually adapt them according to the needs of the game.
There are 350 sounds in Outcasts, all created in this small studio.
All the voices, all the screaming, every character sound is performed by a corresponding actor.
We casted female voices and male voices while doing an artistic research, trying to give him an accent, try to act older, younger, etc.
What you gonna do? Charge me for smoking?
Cutter? Well, I reckon he's a joker.
The music gives the game a real adventure action movie side to it, so we worked with a composer and recorded the score with the Moscow Symphonic Orchestra.
The mix of music in Outcast is a large mix, a varied mix of some classical elements, some very exotic or esoteric elements. Something esoteric is, when you're in the city world, it's sort of a Middle Eastern, very exotic sort of landscape. So the way I create an exotic landscape musically is I use an instrument called the duduk, which is an Armenian instrument. In the forest world, I use African percussion, talking drum, djembe, African congas. In the marsh world, it's a very foggy world, so I use low woodwinds at the bottom of the register. They're like way down there, just like, wow, like fog, just creating a mood that helps immediately put you in the world.
Outcast is a new game and a new style.
We want video games to go one step further.
The game is centered on four main axes: beauty, wonder, realism, and immersion.
The global quality of what we got in the end is well above our hopes at the start.
Outcast is a super production, but it will go further.
There will be a before Outcast and an after Outcast, but I do hope it will also have lots of descendants in the future.
You bet.